ex told everyone I was too boring to date, and it became the best thing that ever happened to me. I remember the exact day it happened. I was sitting at our favorite coffee shop, stirring my latte absent-mindedly, when Rachel called me. She had that tone in her voice, the one I knew meant trouble. She didn't even wait for hellos. "Everyone's talking about you," she said, like I was the scandal of the week. "They all know you're boring." I froze. I laughed nervously. "Excuse me?" Rachel sighed. "You heard me. Mark told everyone. He said you're too boring to date, and apparently he's been telling it like it's the gospel." Mark? My ex? We dated for just under a year. Nothing dramatic, nothing wild, just normal. We had quiet dinners, weekend hikes, and binge-watched the same shows over and over. I liked that. I thought he liked it too. I was wrong. I hung up the phone and stared at my latte until it went cold. I felt the sting at first, but then something weird happened. Instead of embarrassment, instead of shame, I felt relief. That was the day I realized I had been trying to live up to someone else's idea of fun instead of my own. The next few days, I noticed people looking at me differently. Some whispered, some laughed in that knowing way. I ran into a few mutual friends at a bookstore, and yes, they brought it up. "So boring, huh?" one of them said, teasing but not unkindly. I shrugged and smiled. Yeah, apparently. That shrug, that smile, felt heavier than it looked. It felt like the first time I wasn't apologizing for who I was. For too long, I had tried to bend, to add noise to my life, just because Mark liked excitement. I had booked concerts I didn't want to go to, stayed out late at bars I hated, and pretended to be spontaneous when I was more comfortable planning my weekends around a book and coffee. I started leaning into it. I embraced being boring. I planned quiet nights, started a garden on my balcony, took long walks around the city alone. I stopped caring about parties I didn't want to attend. I read books. I cooked meals I actually liked. I binge-watched series without feeling the need to comment on them for someone else. And then, slowly, life started to feel different. People I didn't expect began noticing. Not the kind of notice me because I'm flashy attention, but genuine curiosity. Sarah, a coworker I'd only ever chatted with about emails, asked me to grab lunch. We talked for hours. Not about parties, not about drinking, not about the kinds of spontaneous adventures Mark would have forced me into, but about books, our jobs, our favorite music. She laughed at my bad jokes and actually listened. Then there was Alex, who lived in my building. He loved cooking and was obsessed with gardening. One day, I saw him struggling with a potted plant in the lobby. I helped him carry it to his apartment, and we ended up trading tips about soil and sunlight for an hour. He told me I had a seriously impressive green thumb. That's not a line I would have expected, but it hit differently. I started realizing that being boring wasn't a flaw. It was a filter. The people who were drawn to me weren't interested in a manufactured life of thrills. They were drawn to me because they liked me as I actually was. My world didn't need to be loud. It just needed to be mine. Months later, Mark tried to reach out. He sent a long text about how he had been wrong, about how he hadn't appreciated me, and how he missed fun. I deleted it. Not angrily, not resentfully, just deleted. My life had already changed too much for him to matter anymore. It wasn't instantaneous, it wasn't dramatic, but slowly, quietly, I built a life that fit me. I had friends who enjoyed simple things, a little community that appreciated the calm, and a sense of self that didn't rely on anyone else's approval. I started waking up happy to be me, not someone else's idea of exciting. Being boring became my best thing. It gave me the space to discover the kind of people I actually wanted around me and the kind of life I actually wanted to live. I stopped chasing approval, and for the first time, I started building happiness instead. And in the quiet evenings with my coffee, books, and balcony garden, I sometimes smile and think, thank you, Mark, because being boring turned out to be the most extraordinary thing that ever happened to me.